community partners and age in place in our community, in our homes, in the community we love, our social programs. So in essence, this is what they started. We have about 160 members currently. It's growing by leaps and bounds. We actually, it took our village about 2 years to start in operation. We opened in 2009. A lot of legwork with the initial original members, with committees and looking at transportation and what our actual needs are in the Mount Vernon area. Transportation was a big one. You know, home services, you know, handyman services, trusted vendors. So there were a lot of committees that were set up and that are continuing. Social programs are huge. You know, to be able to continue to go to that museum. You know, I may not drive anymore, but you know, there's a new exhibit downtown. I want to go see it. There's a entertainment at Wolf Trap. How do we do this? To continue their lifestyle. We are a volunteer-first organization, so we rely heavily on a lot of our volunteers. And just like Carol said, our volunteers come back with the most incredible stories, and I have to tell one too, because it's fabulous. We had a volunteer, and I must say that our volunteers are multi-generational. It's not just member to member or retirees or those baby boomers. We've got young mothers who kids are in school, and so I had a volunteer. She came in after she had transported one of my members to the doctor's appointment, and she came in and she goes, "I am totally blown away. The lady that I took was at the Nuremberg trials." She goes, "Oh, the story she was saying is incredible, and it's just, it's living history." And this volunteer was just, she took away something that she wouldn't necessarily have, you know, done if she had not belonged to our organization. So it's so fulfilling for both ends. We are going strong. I think you have a couple of our pictures.
Right. We can
And
show.
one was of our annual Celebrate, which is a combination of our membership getting together and the community, businesses. We have a great hometown feel over in Mount Vernon area. So a lot of people are vested in this movement. And then the other picture is of Winter Tour. We had a group, we do outings, and it's not just down the street. We went to Delaware, we went to Longwood Gardens, and then they decided to stop at another place along the way too. So it's, you know.
While we're there.
While we're there. So.
And I think one of the things too, and I don't mean to interrupt you, that you're so cognizant of the making sure that the volunteers who go into homes and people are vetted, and that you do background checks and so on and so forth, so that element of trust is there when people have somebody coming into their home. And as you said earlier, that you know, the volunteers like that as well. They do. They feel more secure, and I think it's both ends, like you said. We do background checks on all of our volunteers, and they're very happy to do it. And also driving, you know, you want to be assured that my senior that's getting in the car is going to be safe and that they feel safe. So yeah, that's part of our vetting and organizationally trying to recruit and make sure our volunteers are happy. You know, and it is a national movement. It is
a national movement. I will tell you, there are 19 villages in the Washington metropolitan area. We actually have a separate association called WAVE, Washington Area Villages, and and it's the tri-area. It's Maryland, Virginia, and DC, and they're either in development or open. We're a little unique village in that we are 14 square miles. The one like on Capitol Hill is Capitol Hill, so it's a smaller, more urban setting. So we're a little unique in that we've got a wider spread like Steve's. So
and the we were talking earlier about, you know, going into homes and so on and so forth, that and the housing retrofitting and then making adjustments, and so we just wanted to quickly talk about some of the adaptations in housing I know, Carol, you renovated your house.
We did, and we stayed married during the renovation, even.
I know.
It was a chore. But what we did is we took a small Sears bungalow and we expanded it so we could have our master bedroom on the main level. And everything, I wanted a washer and dryer, as part of the bedroom area. So down the road, my husband and I can live on one level if we need to. And we widened the doors. We put fixtures in as far as embedding the fixtures, so when we attach them, that's going to be an easy job. Our grandkids love it. They think that we did it for them. So it's been great, but all of these changes have been a real help.
And there have been so many minor things that installing grab bars in bathrooms and throwing out the throw rugs that trip more people and create falls and so forth. Any other thoughts? I know universal design has been something high in the Reston
well, like
process.
many communities, Washington is in love with colonial style homes, and bedrooms are all on the second floor. And I think when you see a home like Carol's, you wonder why we aren't all living on one level. The beauty of it is that what's good for a wheelchair is good for a baby stroller, is good for a cart to roll your groceries in. Imagine if we could do that for a lifetime. And one of the best things about a universal design home is when that big refrigerator is delivered, it only takes the delivery guy about 5 minutes to bring this in your house. So it's just, the concept is that let's design our spaces for everyone, the most disabled, and we actually create environments that are better for all of us.
Right, and more open and more accessible for everybody. As you say, it's not just older, it's not just disabled, it's through all the sorts of stages of life. And transportation, we've talked of the whole suburban thing and being car dependent. I mean, fortunately now, if you have to give up your car, at least there are things like zip cars, and there are even community bikes, like in, I think Alexandria and Arlington both have them. You need to be able to ride a bike. But that automobile, and as you're saying earlier, we feel like we all need to be independent, and sort of the cowboy image and stoic, and we'll get ourselves there. And there just has to be other ways of dealing with this transportation issue.
Could I just say one thing that Alexandria has just done is we did work in doing a strategic plan for aging, and we held several town meetings, and we got input from everyone. And one of the things that came out of this was that we should have transportation that includes pedestrians. So it's not just wheels. It's walkable, sidewalks that don't have the bricks sticking up, and it's healthier to walk. So we want that as part of the transportation.
Right.
Well, that's a big component, especially in Fairfax County, because it's an older community and we don't have a lot of sidewalks. And so the accessibility to even public transportation is harder for a senior. So that actually the county has looked at it several times. Our county supervisor has been very active in looking at the bus stops and whatnot. So
and I know in a part of the walking is obviously far healthier, and the whole health and fitness aspect of being able to stay healthy enough to connect with your community, because so often, although the internet has been a great window on the world for a lot of older people, but so much connection involves mobility, and whether it's automobile mobility or on your 2 feet, a lot of that goes back to trying to promote health and fitness in older people. And of course, I mean, the country has, the raging obesity level in young people. So we know, again, that this is a very intergenerational aspect, and it isn't just something segmented to the side. And there's something called assistive technology, which is sort of like getting GPS in your shoes so you don't get lost. And I think it's, there's a thing called nanotechnology, and I want to read it just so I get his term correctly. It's trademarked by Andrew Carl as professor at George Mason University. And the idea of technology, microchip technology, of developing things that would help your nana or grandmother improve quality of life. And there are all sorts of amazing gadgets that are monitoring health and safety and so forth, and that will be a huge thing, I think, in the future. And the social and community involvement we've been talking about all along. So what do you think the future of aging is? I know we're getting away from the idea of aging in place as any particular home, because so many people, they do move to where their children are, or they do downsize to a condo, and then they want to stay there and connected to the community. We're not only talking about, if you've lived some house for 40 years. What do you think the future is, just in the last minute or so we have?
I would say that one thing that's important is to have the living near the stores, near, that aging is a process that we're all going to go through if we're lucky enough to get
Look
there.
in the mirror.
But
every day.
I think that there are a number of things going on. I think the idea of getting back to a micro community feel, because I think people do thrive in a community. And also the other thing that we're seeing is there are a lot more programs where younger people are joining with older folks. I mean, Maggie Kuhn was a wonderful example years ago of bringing young people together. So I think there's going to be less of that stigmatizing people by age groups. I think it's going to be more of a community.
Well, I wish we had more time. We only have about a half a minute left, and I want to thank you, Carol, and Steve, and Barbara for coming and discussing this. We do have to have one or two more programs for sure, but we are all older than we were yesterday, and this is affecting us all. It is not an older age issue problem. It's something that we are all going through, and we all want to live a more full life. So thank you very much for coming, and thank you in the audience as well. Hope we see you next time. Thank you. I'm Diane Hennessy King for On the Go with AAUW.